Oh, can I have you? Oh, you want to be a YouTube star, don't you? You're up for adoption. Okay, let's give this a go. In 3, 2, 1. Alrighty then. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to another episode with the Toronto Dogcast, the podcast for dog lovers. And the concept is super simple. If you're new to the channel or you're new to the podcast, what we do is we sit down and we talk about dogs and have some fun and just have a good talk. So with me today is Lynn and her two adorable Shiba Inus.
Inus. Shiba Inus. Shiba Inus.
Inu.
Yeah.
So Inu means dog in Japanese,
yeah.
right? And Shiba means
brushwood
or little.
Yes, because there's Akitas and there's other Inus, and they go
right. Because Inu is like any dog. Okay, so why don't you introduce these two little guys? Right, everybody knows my dogs.
This is Milo. He's my pup. Hello Milo the Shiba on Instagram. This is Ellie, his twin sister from the same litter. So
we're going to talk about a couple big topics today. And the first one's going to be fostering and everything to do about fostering, which should apply to pretty much anybody out there who's interested in fostering a dog. And then we're going to talk specifically about these guys and what you should look for and some of the unique characteristics of this breed, which is going to be a lot of fun. And we'll cover some Instagram questions later on as well. So it should be good. So why don't you tell us your story about how you came to foster this one and to have Milo?
Well, I was always interested in the breed, but believe it or not, he's actually my first dog.
Get out!
Yeah,
really?
I was actually a dog sitter, not professionally. Sorry. Milo's my first dog. How I got Milo is I actually met his breeder and I dog sit for his mom.
Oh, okay.
That's how I got my initial experience with a Shiba, and if I could handle it or not, if it was a good fit for me and my family. And then we keep in contact too. I'm actually her dog sitter whenever she does go out or go on vacation, so at least they get to see each other.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
I kept in touch with my breeder. That's how I got Milo. I always knew I wanted a boy. I made his Instagram 2 years prior before I got him, just so I can get that name.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
I was very
dedication.
dedicated. Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people now, after I did the podcast with Jen on social media, is if you're thinking about getting a puppy, like get your Instagram handle because they go really quick and they grow really fast. So if you're going to get a puppy especially, you really need to have everything set up beforehand. All right, so let's get into the fostering side of things. So you got Milo, but then you decide to foster this little lovely lady?
Yeah, well, since there was just 2 of them, I knew I had to keep in contact with Ellie as well.
Okay.
And we're from Mississauga, and then when my breeder told me that her owner was also Mississauga, I was just like, okay, that I need to have her contacts to keep in touch. So then since they're siblings, I just wanted them to have their bond always. So we're fairly close, and then a situation happened where she wasn't able to keep Ellie at home.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll take her in because she is Milo's sister. Like, I would do it for any dog as well, but since it was Milo's sister, it was just like, I'll take her indefinitely. Just don't know for how long.
How long are you gonna?
Yeah.
How long you need to foster?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a problem because, what's it called? It helps me see if I'm ready to have 2 dogs as well. And, Milo has his sister over. I'm pretty sure he doesn't mind sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a good point in terms of there's lots of different scenarios in which fosters become available.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people associate fostering with sheltered or rescue dogs.
Yes.
But these are beautiful, purebred, Shiba Inu. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
So these are very desirable. I mean, it's not like they're not going to find a home or anything like that. But it's a good example of even in a scenario with a breeder and a purebred puppy that there might be a need for fostering. Tell me about some of the unique challenges when it comes to fostering.
I mean, it's unexpected, right? Like I said, you don't know if it's a long term or a short term. I didn't sign up for being a foster or anything like that. Specifically, I just took Ellie in because she was Milo's family.
So you never fostered before?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fairly new to me. I didn't do it through an organization or anything like that. So foster care is just basically you are dog sitting in a sense. The owner or the organization does provide you funds for food and vet bill care.
Okay.
So it's basically having a dog, but you're not paying the expenses, which is, pros and cons. Like, you get to have a dog for free, or you get to play with them for free. Your dog gets a companion. Everything is paid for you. It's basically having another dog.
It's a great experience.
Yeah.
It's a valuable experience.
Yeah.
So I really strongly recommend people to foster dogs in a number of scenarios, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, somebody comes to me and asks me for advice on, I'm thinking about getting a dog, but I have some questions and I'm not sure if it's the right commitment for me.
Yes,
so
of course.
before making a long-term commitment, which is the smarter thing to do, they take on a foster so that they can experience what it's like to own a dog, to deal with some of the issues that dog owners go through, how it affects their life in terms of the adjustments that they need to make, how their family responds to it. So if they have kids or other people who may not like dogs, so it's like an extended trial of having a dog in your life without making the commitment. And in a lot of cases, when you're talking about rescues or shelters or things like that, they really look to the public to help out as fosters. So you're helping out the organization, you're helping out that particular dog, and you're also learning everything there is to know about having a dog in that specific case. I mean, every dog is different, but there's a lot of things that are going to be common for people who have never had a dog, or maybe they haven't had a dog in a long time. So it's a really, really positive thing. Fostering is an amazing thing, helping the bigger community out there, but also to make a really smart and educated decision.
Yeah, you definitely want to get the experience, especially if it's like a certain breed and you never had that certain type of breed before. And also, like you said, it's like saving money, like you're saving up for a dog. Or say you recently lost your dog and you miss having a dog around, but you're not sure if you want to move on and do that commitment of getting another dog. Sometimes people just need like that temporary emotional support too.
For sure.
Yeah, especially around the holidays, you're helping them out, you're giving them a home, so then they don't stay in the shelter for however so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of rescue organizations don't have physical facilities. So what they'll do is they'll go rescue a bunch of dogs, and then they'll have a network of foster volunteers who will take those dogs until they find a forever home.
Yes.
So one of the challenges you might face as a foster parent is, why not? Let's call it foster parent because it's easier, right? Is the organization will have to coordinate visits with potential interested people.
Yes.
So one of the things, if you're considering a foster, is having that flexibility of allowing people to come over and visit the dog and to spend time with the dog in terms of assessing whether that's a good option for adoption. So we got a few questions from the interwebs about fostering, and Elliot Garcia, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, asked, is fostering a good idea if you're saving to get a dog? Which is an interesting question. So most dogs, when you're rescuing them or getting them from a shelter, don't cost too much. So usually it's, I don't want to misquote, but it's usually around $400 to maybe $600. Like it's sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the rescue. So what I'm assuming is if you're saving to get a dog, you're probably saving for a purebred dog. So what would your advice be for somebody who's saving up to get a dog? Is fostering a good idea?
I mean, all expenses are paid for, like the necessities. Like, you need to think about when you do get a dog, you have to obviously feed it. Like, food-wise, that adds up, like, because it's a constant expense. And then vet bills, like, when you get a puppy, like, shots and everything, and God forbid something happens, right? It's quite a lot, because, like, unless you get insurance, but that's also another expense that you need to pay for. Like, dogs are they're like kids, like they're very expensive.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So pretty much any question asking about fosters, the answer is going to be yes. It is such a positive experience. And let's say, for example, you consider the worst case scenario.
Yes.
So there's a couple worst case scenarios. There's the actual worst case scenario of I foster a dog. Let's say there's some behavioral problems. So this is very common for a lot of dogs, whether they be purebred or from shelters, is they have behavioral problems, whether it be aggressive symptoms or fear or anxiety issues, and somebody is unfamiliar with dogs, let's say, and that dog has behavioral issues, and that person who's fostering that dog experiences some sort of issues with that dog. In that case, with a foster, can you just say, look, I can't handle this foster dog. I need to either return it or have the organization find another foster? You can do that?
Yeah, for sure, because like it's all volunteering, of course. Like the organization, I know the Shiba Rescue, it's actually, they do it themselves in their own home.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's just like the negative is like how many dogs can you take on, how many dogs can they take on, and like you want to minimalize the bouncing around of certain dogs, or because like there's trust issues there, then that's where the behavioral problems start, because they don't know what their home is. They're exposed to so many different things, and what if this home has a dog and like, you know, they had a negative response or experience with that dog, and they go to another home and they're just gonna not trust like the dog if they have another dog there. So for sure there's behavioral problems when it comes into fostering or rescuing dogs. There's always that like
possibility.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always possible. So what I recommend to people is understand your own capabilities, your own experience level.
Yes.
And really have a dialogue with the foster organization to make sure you understand what type of scenario you're getting into. So if you're a novice with dogs, you probably want to foster a dog that's going to be relatively easy for you to take care of.
Yes.
So maybe a more mature dog. Dogs, when they get into adolescence, are a bit of a handful.
Yes.
These guys, not my guys, but these guys are adolescents. So adolescence lasts from anywhere between 9 months to 2 years, maybe even to 3 years. And think of adolescence like being a teenager. So that's a really, really challenging time to have a dog in any shape or form. So if you're more novice to having dogs, maybe think about fostering an older dog, one that has a low level of energy. It's very similar to choosing a dog for you and your family. So to understand your capabilities, to understand how much time you have, your activity levels, all that kind of things, like how long are the dogs going to be left alone, you know, how much training experience do you have. All these are really common to whether you're thinking about fostering a dog or whether you're thinking about getting a dog permanently for your family, right? So in your case, you bit off a lot, because not only were you a new dog owner, but you got Milo.
And then I have another
and
adolescent. Yeah.
So that's very brave, but your heart is in the right place because you're thinking about the dogs first and keeping that bond together between the siblings.
And plus it's through a friend. Like, I know her owner too. Like, I know she's not just gonna, leave her dog with me or not, pay for her expenses and stuff like that.
Let's tackle one of the other possible worst case scenarios, which is you foster a dog, but then you completely fall in love with them and you want to keep them, which I don't think is that bad. I mean, they call that. So what's the term?
That's not a worst case scenario.
No.
That's like the best case scenario.
I think so too.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But it's called a foster fail.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So that's a foster fail is when you foster a dog and then you fall in love with it and then you decide that you want to keep it forever.
Yeah.
Right. And adopt it.
Mm-hmm. It's a win-win situation. I mean, you get to get a dog that you're already comfortable with, and you give that dog like a forever home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not considered a fail. I don't know why they should stop calling that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe just a play on words where it's like when I'm sure when these organizations work with fosters, that's the ideal outcome for them.
Of course, yeah.
However,
for sure.
they don't want to put any pressure or expectations on the foster families.
Yes.
So maybe that's why they call it like a foster fail in terms of like, hey, look, we don't want to make any assumptions that you're going to fall in love with this dog, but if it does happen, that's okay too. So if a dog is getting fostered and then the shelter's covering, or sorry, whatever organization is covering their expenses, and then you decide to adopt that dog, is it just a matter of like saying, hey, look, I really fell in love with this dog and I want to adopt it, and you do the paperwork and that's it?
Well, when it comes to adoption, like that, if you're, I guess, obtaining ownership of that dog, it's considered your dog. They stop all those, I guess, foster checks,
Right.
And you have to actually pay for your own dog.
Yeah.
Which could be an issue because, like, you get to one situation where it's just like, oh, hey, everything's being paid for me, and until like, oh, shoot, now I have to, put in my own money. That's like a whole, like, from this bouncing to that is also can be a struggle too, right? Because owning a dog is like expenses throughout, like, your lifetime. Yes, of course,
sure,
yeah,
for sure. Especially during the first, I would say, year and a half of a dog's life. So puppies are super expensive.
Yeah.
Because everything happens in terms of their shots. Getting them fixed can be really expensive. All the different vaccinations, getting them chipped and all that kind of thing. So the first year and a half is pretty pricey for a dog. But then after that, it pretty much levels out.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously if you adopt an older dog, you need to know that as of age, certain things can happen, like arthritis, like health problems, as normal when it comes to age, right?
Yeah, any dog when it gets older is going to be more susceptible to health issues.
So I just suggest maybe like put a funds of savings if something does happen, like, accidents do happen that are unexpected and they could be very expensive as well. There's also situations like how if someone surrenders their dog, then it's surrendered, you can adopt it. But like with my situation, it's not like Ellie was surrendered. I'm just taking care of her.
Sorry,
so
what does that mean?
That means when a rescue does obtain a dog to be fostered, it's like the person can't no longer take care of it or doesn't want it anymore. Like, it happens with old dogs. Some people are just like, they don't have time or they don't want to put up with old dogs, which is like a shame.
So let me get this straight. What you're saying is somebody has a dog.
Yes.
They get old, and then the family or person decides that they don't want that dog anymore?
Yeah.
That happens?
Yes, it does, unfortunately.
Can we do a shaming thing? I don't want to do a shaming thing because this one of the pillars of this podcast is remaining positive
Mm-hmm.
and bringing people together. But I think if somebody does that,
That's a pretty big no.
yeah. I feel very strongly about dogs, and I'm very passionate about dogs. So anybody who would give up their dog, simply
and having a senior dog yourself too, like there's no way that you would do that. But it does happen. But like you need to think as the dogs get older, maybe the owners get older too, and they can't keep up with it as well, or they go to school, or they just go away, etc. Or maybe things happen in their life as well, which is understandable. But it does happen.
It takes a very special person to have the dedication, to have the patience, the time, the kindness in their heart to open up their home to a dog that might not be theirs. So they're investing a lot. I would say you'd have to be a very cold person not to be able to invest emotion into a dog, whether you have them. I mean, I've dog sitted for like a week and I've gotten emotionally attached to those dogs. So fostering a dog just ups the ante. So it takes a very special person. So when these organizations are vetting those people, it makes sense that they are vetting them correctly and doing their due diligence to make sure that these are the right kind of people to foster the dogs. Because at the end of the day, the dogs needs have to be taken into consideration.
I mean, like, it's not a job. Like, you don't get paid for it. It's completely off volunteer hours and volunteering as well. But, like, I was looking into adoption and fostering as well beforehand. But the application is very, like they're serious about it. Like, I was intimidated a bit because I am a first-time owner dog. Like, I didn't know if they would, like, let me or be like, yeah, for sure, adopt a dog, but because they don't want the same situation happening again where someone can't handle it, or they want to see someone experience as well for the dog. Like, it's for the dog's best interest, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. If you are inexperienced with dogs and you want to gain experience without making the full commitment of getting a dog, fostering actually makes the most sense.
Yeah, it does.
So it helps you to say, oh, okay, I need to figure out how to walk my dog properly. I need to figure out how
scheduling,
pick up poo, all that kind of stuff. How do I socialize my dog? So there's a great learning experience. Yes. And I know some people who will foster a dog for a little while. That dog get adopted. They'll foster another dog. That dog will get adopted. And each dog, they get better and better because they get more experience. They learn more. They do more research. They go through some training. They figure out what works, what doesn't work. Things like bringing dogs onto podcasts. What are the challenges involved in bringing your dog on a podcast?
Yes.
Well, they always want to play, and they get into everything. I'll put it to you this way. Anybody out there who's considering getting 2 dogs?
Yeah.
The best way I found to get 2 dogs is to get 1 dog.
Yes, first.
Get all your adjustments out of the way. Build your routines. Know what food works for them. Know what your routine's going to be. Know what the challenges are going to be. All that kind of stuff. Train them. Get them well balanced. Get all the kinks out of the way. And then get a second dog.
Yeah.
And what will happen is because you have 1 dog sorted out first, the second dog will learn everything from the first dog.
Yes.
So
you also will learn because you have experience as well.
So if you've never had a dog before, don't get 2 at once. Getting 2 at once, okay, I'm going to say it is ideal in some ways.
Yes. So then they grow up with each other.
They grow up together.
The same time. You don't have to do the puppy phase all over again.
Exactly. However, it's double the work.
And expenses.
And
puppy shots again.
All at the same time.
Yeah. Like puppy stuff, and they grow fairly quick.
I would definitely say that having 2 dogs is easier than having 1, simply because dogs are meant to be around other dogs. And the type of play that dogs do with each other is you can't replicate it as a human being.
Yeah.
So you can exercise them, you can walk them, you can do lots of fun activities with them, you can play fetch with them, you can take them through agility training, all that kind of lovely stuff. But you won't be able to replicate the play that dogs have with each other, and that's something that is healthy for them. They really, really need it, and they really love it. So having two dogs means that they can play with each other, they can entertain each other, keep each other company, do all that kind of stuff, and it's less responsibility on you in terms of like, oh, I got to arrange play dates for my dog, I have to take my dog to the dog park because that's the only way they can have interaction. Which you should do anyway if you have two dogs, for sure. But
at least they have each other, because like
having each other.
If a dog isn't socialized or doesn't work with the other dog, at least it has a sibling that it gets along with and stuff like that.
So if you're going to get two dogs, the best way to go about it, get one dog, sort them out, wait a while.
Yes.
So maybe like a year, 2 years. They're still close enough in age. And
well, with dogs, it doesn't matter what age they are.
Yeah.
It's not like children.
No.
You know, like Mosley's how old now?
Mosley's almost 12.
Yeah, he wanted to get in with the puppy.
All right. So we covered, I think, a lot of good stuff with fostering, and I think if we had one piece of advice is do your research.
Yes.
Talk to some folks who have fostered in the past, possibly, if you can. The great thing about social media is that you can reach out on social media to gain insights from other people who have experienced fostering, and they can give you a lot of insights into what it takes, some of the challenges, some of the benefits, all that kind of stuff, what to do and all that kind of. But definitely do it. I mean, I think it's a great, great thing. I've done it in the past. I recommend it to anybody, whether you're looking for a dog permanently or you just love dogs but don't really have the capacity or the time to have a dog full time. It's a great experience, and you're also going to be helping out a lot of these organizations that need
dogs themselves.
And the dogs themselves.
Yeah.
For sure.
Also breed specific rescues too. So if you're interested in a breed like the Shiba Inu rescue, or there's also pug rescues, and you're interested in a breed, you can foster that breed too to see if that breed's right for you.
Absolutely. For sure. One thing that we're going to get into is talking specifically about the breed, which on the channel we don't really discuss too many breed-specific things, but this is going to be a lot of fun because these guys are very unique. They have a lot of history to them. So that's the next part of the podcast is we're going to talk about these Shibas specifically. So we talked about fostering, and I think there was a lot of good information. Obviously, if you guys have some tips and advice, please feel free to add to our discussion. Leave your comments in the comment section, and we'll get that going. But now what we're going to do is talk about these guys specifically in the Shiba Inu breed. I said it correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a bit more about this ancient, beautiful breed?
Yeah, they're pretty ancient, as they're from 300 BC. So maybe one of the first dogs. Their origin is from Japan. They started getting pretty popular after that meme from the internet.
Yeah. So did you know?
Small,
did you know that they almost went extinct?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, they were, and I guess that population brought it back because everyone keeps on thinking that they're Akitas, but they're a smaller version of them. Akitas are also part of the Inu family as well. Yeah, and they're just pretty big.
Yeah, Akitas are massive.
Yeah, and that movie Hachi also brought them into popular culture too. Even though Hachi is an Akita, the puppy that plays Hachi when they were little is actually a Shiba Inu.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So these guys were from Japan. Their origins are very ancient. Yeah. They were originally bred to
hunt.
Yes, they're hunting dogs.
Yeah, small game like birds and stuff. So their prey drive is pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like they look like foxes too, so
Yeah, absolutely.
they're well accumulated to winters, like Japan. It also snows there too. They're double coated. There's about 4 types of Shibas. These are considered red. There's also black and tan or tricolor. There's also sesame, which is red but black tipped. And there is cream, which is considered a flaw or defect.
Okay.
Because the American Kennel Club doesn't have cream Shibas in shows. Because it's just like a whole abnormality when they do breed, or it's like a generic thing. It's like kind of like albino dogs.
Right.
Yeah, but they're considered cream Shibas. And then there's also the really rare pinto one, where it's like black and white.
Black and
yeah,
white.
Those are pretty rare.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, in World War II, they almost went extinct.
Yes.
Because basically of the war, people stopped breeding them.
Yeah.
But then in the 50s, they reintroduced them and they got really popular. Here's an interesting Shiba fact. So they are the closest genetically to wolves.
Yes. Even though they look like foxes, they're I guess you want to say pack animals too. They're generically the most like wolves. Yes.
Yeah. Well, all dogs are from wolves, but these guys are the closest, which basically means like they're very old. They're an ancient breed. So the closer you are genetically to a wolf, it just means like the older the breed. But all dogs are basically from wolves originally.
Yes.
I have an interesting trivia question. You might know this.
Okay.
Okay. So for anybody watching or listening, you can play along. And if you know the answer, you can just answer it. If not, I'll give you the answer at the end.
Yeah. I'm not like a Shiba expert. I just own
It's okay.
one.
This is a Japanese
just
term.
letting you know. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what is meant by the Japanese term uragiro? I might have mispronounced that. It's spelled Urajiro. Iragiro.
I actually don't know.
You don't know.
Milo, do you know? Do you speak Japanese?
Let's check.
Yeah.
Bam.
What? Oh no, he does not know.
Okay, so at the end of the podcast, I will review the question. So
Okay.
Shiba means what?
Brushwood.
Brushwood or little?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what they originally
Yeah.
bred for. They went into the brush. They scared up some game.
Yeah.
And that's how they helped people hunt. So that's really cool. What about people who say Shibas are cat-like?
Oh, very. They like to keep themselves clean. They avoid the water, like especially when we're walking with puddles. They want nothing to do with it. They lick themselves. They're fairly quiet. Like they don't bark whatsoever. Like they do when they're alert, but they do not bark at all. Like they're not supposed to, I guess. But we do have some barking sheep. Yeah, so they're very cat-like and agile.
Okay, I'm just gonna close that.
Yeah, and the way they play is very cat-like and pawing too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So they share some cat characteristics, but they're still dogs.
Yes.
Right.
they're like the cats of dogs, is what they're
The cats of dogs. Okay.
considered. Yeah.
And what is the deal with the Shiba scream?
The Shiba scream is like a screech most.
It's a very high pitched.
Yeah, it's like a freak
sound.
out, and they're fine. They're also very dramatic. They're super dramatic. Like they'll do it with bath times, which is another things cats don't like, I guess. And then with nail clippings and just, I guess, discomfort, comfort for them because they have sensitive paws where they don't like people touching them. With nail trimmings, they're like considered might be a nightmare, just like cats as well. They'll just scream throughout and nothing will be happening. There will be no clippers around. If they know that they're getting clipped, they'll just scream like Ellie last night.
Or when they get really excited, I heard as well.
Not as much as when they are, I guess, scared.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
They're a really unique looking breed. You're not going to confuse them with anything else. I love the people who give them Japanese names. I think that's so cool.
Yeah,
because they sound really cool and they're really fitting because they're a very Japanese dog. I mean, they're really well recognized around the world as like a Japanese dog.
They have big personalities for a considered medium dog. They have huge personalities. Like, not any Shiba's the same. And there's like that stereotype where they're aloof or independent, but as you can see, like, well, Ellie would come to you. She's very sweet as a dog too. And then Milo, her twin, is just like, would like to be on his own as well. And then you have some Shibas that are just super cuddly and clingy as well. And Milo are considered to be pretty big for Shibas. Because, like, I think males are supposed to be maybe 20 to 22 pounds at most. And then females are maybe 18 to 20. But, like, as the breed, like, evolves in, like, different regions, like, I guess the Japanese dogs, the Shibas from Japan, look different to the Shibas that are bred here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like they have a more raccoon face. They're kind of pudgier. Like, they have more of like a neck. While the ones here, westernized, are more fox-like. Like, they have a sharper muzzle and they're bigger. Because Milo's at like 28.5 and he's not overweight or anything. He's just considered to be a bigger size of a Shiba.
We got a lot of questions from the interwebs. So one of the things that I do before every podcast is I post on Instagram and I let people know, here's the guest, here's the topics, submit your questions, and then we'll do our best to answer them. We got a bunch. So one of the questions that we got are around temperament. So why don't we get in? So these questions are from Riley Ruse Boutique.
Yeah, who made this?
Who made this
Shout
lovely...
out to Megan.
Shout out to Megan. This is very stylish and cute. All right, so Megan, these are your questions. This is for you. So we're going to go through a number of specific questions about Shibas. One of the first questions is about shedding patterns.
They have 2 blowouts a year, and it lasts from 2 to 3 months. And they're just... huge blowouts.
So a blowout is when they shed their undercoat.
Yes, they're double coated.
Yeah. So for those people who have German Shepherds or other breeds,
Huskies,
they have an undercoat that protects them from the wind and the cold weather, and then they have a top coat which protects them from just like debris and other things like that. So when they twice a year when they shed their undercoat, that's what that term is, blowout.
Yeah, and it's like seasonal. Like, they need to have a heavier coat for the winter, obviously. Yeah. And then it's too heavy when it gets too warm, so they blow it out and they get rid of it. Yeah. The double coating also helps with their internal temperatures. Yeah. That helps them regulate themselves.
Okay, so when do those happen? Spring and fall?
Yes, like beginning and prepping for the winter. Their bodies know when the temperature changes.
They do naturally.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, yes. Mother Nature takes care of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're just like, it's cold, and this is like when we need a heavier coat, they also do as well. And then when it's getting too hot for their winter coat, they blow it out and...
boom.
Yeah.
Then you got a big mess.
You can honestly just like pick it off them too. Like,
yeah, they come out in tufts.
Grooming wise, when they do have their blowouts, you can use the blow dryers, like the industrial ones, or you can just use a rake brush or a sickler brush, which I use for cats and dogs. Right. Yeah. So, and then if you're getting like a blade brush, you just need to watch out. You do it at the same spot constantly. It actually thins out their fur because it cuts it. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. And the next question is about temperament. What's their temperament like?
Well, people always come up to me and ask me if they can pet Milo or Ellie, and they're surprised on how friendly they are, because the stereotype is that they're aggressive.
These guys?
Yeah, right?
Really?
Well, they have attitudes, which I understand, but like, all dogs go into moods as well.
Absolutely. When you're talking about breeds, and I think we should have prefaced our answers to these questions first. When you're talking about a breed, I take it with a bit of a grain of salt, because every single dog is different. Even Ellie and
Milo.
are different, and they're siblings that like they were born in the same litter. So even these two dogs, even though they're the exact same breed from the exact same mother, are different, meaning that their temperaments and personalities are going to vary. So be careful about making generalizations. We're going to answer these questions to give you an idea, and you have obviously personal experience with these beautiful dogs, but don't make too many assumptions based on what you hear about a breed. Make sure you really look at each dog as its own individual.
Yeah, it also depends on like owners as well.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So dogs' behavior is heavily influenced by the people or dogs that they're with. So if you're around really chill, calm, relaxed people, that will have a calming effect on your dogs. And opposite, if you're an anxious and nervous person,
they do feed off your energy, and it's what you allow your dog to do. Like if someone allows their dog to have this certain behavior, then of course they might be aggressive, while someone else is like more disciplined or strict on like their dog correcting the behaviors. It's something like that too. So temperament wise, like I guess they could be independent and aloof as well. Like Milo was never the cuddly type, but Ellie is.
But I mean, here's the thing I tell people about purebred dogs is that they are specialists, meaning that they were bred for a specific reason that they are no longer used for, right? So think about this. These two dogs, as cute and adorable and beautiful as they are, they were bred for hunting.
Yes.
And they were bred specifically to go into the brush and scare up the game and do those things. So think about what it takes for a dog to be really good at that specific task. And that's why these dogs look and act and have the energy levels and the bravery that they do. So, for example, if you look at prey drive, all dogs, for the most part, have a prey drive, but in these guys specifically, it's just amped up.
Yeah, it's super high. They also, you need to consider, like, if you have a small animal with you, like maybe a rabbit or gerbil, how they'll react unless they're, were raised with them the whole time. You need to think about, like, squirrels, like,
things like that.
Incidents where, like, a Shiba has killed a squirrel. It's because that's how they were bred. And, like, in Japan, they didn't have, like, dog parks and, like, I guess, like, dog communities like us as much. They were just, like, farm family animals that were hunting, right? They didn't have, like, we need to go to, like, dog parks or dog socialization.
For sure.
So it's a little bit different on how you would think that they would be aggressive. You need to also think that you can't confuse aggression with also dominance, right? Like, Milo wouldn't pick a fight with everyone, but, like, if someone challenges him, like, he's obviously gonna retaliate too. That isn't, like, a form of aggression. That's just him, being a dog.
Yeah, so what I tell people is there's no such thing as an aggressive dog. There are aggressive symptoms.
Yes.
So aggression is the result of something else going on. So dogs communicate with each other in different ways that humans often misinterpret. So a growl isn't always
a threat.
A threat,
yeah.
Right. So when dogs are playing, and we were going to talk about this anyway, when dogs are playing, they make a whole bunch of sounds that human beings are very commonly misinterpreting. So even with two dogs that are siblings and love each other and are completely bonded, they're going to growl, and sometimes they'll show their teeth and make terrible sounds, and it sounds really bad, but really they're just playing.
Yes, Milo's very vocal when he plays, and it's like loud growling. It sounds like lions, and plus they play with teeth. Like, they play really rough together.
Yeah,
they'll tug each other by, like, the necks, and as puppies they played with that, and they were pretty rough as puppies, but like they let each other know. Like, they'll do that whine, and they'll be like, "This is enough. This is too hard," and then that's how they know how to play with other dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when dogs play, it's very physical,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, it's not like you and I won't, you know, if two kids are, well, actually, kids are pretty physical too, now that you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they like to wrestle and,
Yeah.
you know, play different games and stuff. But when dogs are playing, they're really getting into it. They're very tactile and very physical. They're going to use their whole bodies. They're going to use all the sounds that they're going to make, their teeth, their mouths, their feet, the whole 9 yards. I think it takes a bit more experience to know when your dog is playing and when your dog is actually expressing aggressive symptoms.
Yeah, like at the dog park, like the terror twins, they're nuts, and people have come up to me like, "Oh, hey, your dogs are fighting. You should break that up. You're letting them be aggressive." And I'm like, "No, they're at the end of the day, they're also still animals, you know."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their brother and sister, just let them have it. They're not stranger dogs that don't know each other. Like,
totally.
Yeah.
And watch a litter of puppies that are literally weeks old.
Yeah.
Play with each other.
Yeah, and puppy teeth are sharp.
Oh, like little razors.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So that's, I think, one of those popular misconceptions. And people are maybe erring on the side of caution and that kind of thing. But it's really important to be educated in terms of like understanding the differences. And they can be quite subtle. But you can tell the difference between dogs that are playing and then dogs that get into too escalated point where they're actually getting too aggressive with each other. So it's just a matter of really understanding your dog specifically and understanding that other dogs play differently.
It's just like social cues too. They give it to each other like warnings before, like, I don't like this, or, you know, I don't like you. Like, dogs are like people. You can't just like every person. Dogs, like, there's just certain dogs that, you know, maybe your dog doesn't like.
Yeah, certain people that they don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
I happen to smell like bacon, so dogs love me.
That's the trick.
Because you love me. What are you looking at, babe? Is there... Oh, there's a bird. Oh, yeah.
You want to get that... Yeah.
Good. All right, so let's talk about compatibility with children.
Well...
Which is another thing people freak out about, which I don't really understand.
Yeah, well, any dog can be compatible with children or family.
Depends on the children.
Yeah, a little
right?
bit. Children are, like, I'm not trying to say anything negative about children, like, or anything, but it's just that they're also very unexpected, right? Like, they don't know what to do when around dogs. What if they just hit your dog and your dog is just like, why are you hitting me, little tiny human? And they grab dogs and certain things too. So it's just that initiation of like the first meeting, because like dogs, when my friends are like expecting and they bring up their baby home, the dogs instantly know that, you know, this is like the most precious thing. They're more gentle, they're more protective, like they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's a very good point, is that children are not like one size fits all, put them all in the same bucket.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a toddler that is just getting mobile and is grabbing everything and is like moving all over the place, that's going to be different from, like you said, like an infant or a young baby, or maybe a child that's older, maybe like 8 or 9. So it's different. You can't just say this dog is going to be, because of this breed, is going to be good with all different kinds of children in all different kinds of situations. I think your responsibility as parents is really integral in terms of like how your child is going to interact with the dog. So, and again, if you got a dog that's a puppy, it's a lot different than a mature dog. So puppies are very mouthy and they have, to your point, razor sharp teeth. So do you want to couple a toddler with a puppy?
Especially at the same time, you know. Like,
it's a lot of work.
I know, like,
so that's maybe not the best combination. But I wouldn't say don't get a Shiba because you have children. I would just say to anyone with children, make sure you do your due diligence, make sure you're introducing them properly, make sure you're being very responsible in terms of monitoring when your child is with the dog, make sure you're supervising that activity.
Yeah. I mean, always watch your kids too, and I guess your dogs as well, right?
Yeah.
And then they're actually great family dogs. Their older sister is in a home with 3 kids. One's a toddler, and she's very gentle and like with the toddler, and the toddler comes and pats her, and she just sits there and lets her pat her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
for sure.
Also, it's a good, like, dogs are really good family pets as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And kids, even at very young ages, before they can speak, have an instant connection with dogs. Mm-hmm. It's amazing to watch. Mm-hmm. You know, I mentioned it a few times in the podcast, is that this relationship that human beings have with dogs is ancient. Like, we're talking about literally hundreds of thousands of years, possibly, and at least a minimum of tens of thousands of years, there's been a really close bond and relationship with dogs, and that continues to today. It's something that's very natural. So you can watch a baby or an infant with a dog, and they will gravitate towards that dog.
They're also always fascinating. Like, whenever I'm walking them, there's always maybe like the parents won't turn their heads, or the child will always turn their heads, watch my dog until like they walk away, or until like the very last second. Like, they're always like fascinating. They always have to show everyone like, oh, look, a dog. Like,
yeah, especially Shibas, because they're so unique looking. Like, they look like a fox, like the little ears and like the little face, and like they're so unique looking in terms of like the spectrum of dogs that you see out there. Because, you know, how many Akitas do you see? You hardly see any of them. And then these guys, I mean, there's not too many of them either. Like you said, they're gaining in popularity, but it's not like a lab or a golden retriever, or even like a German Shepherd.
As popular they are, they're not really easily to obtain. Like, there's not many breeders that are here.
Okay. Yeah. So that leads into a really good question in terms of, if you're interested in getting a Shiba, what should you look for when it comes to breeders?
Well, in this day and age, it's easy to, I guess, breed a dog, put it online, like maybe Kijiji to sell and stuff like that, like ads or stuff like that. But that just promotes like backyard breedings, brokers, because it's like easy money for them, because they are quite an expensive purebred dog, right? So I suggest you talk to a Shiba owner first and ask them where they got them, because at least you know if they got them from a good place or like, you know, a bad place, because there's a lot of brokers coming around. Thank goodness, like, my friends, got them from good places, but like there's like other situations where they didn't know, and like when you want a dog, you just want a dog, you know, like at the pet stores, you just want a dog, but then you don't know that they're from puppy mills, etc.
Yeah.
So you don't know where they're coming from. When you are interested in buying any dog, you need to meet up with the breeder. And of course, if the breeder really cares about their business or their dogs or where their puppy goes, they'll do an intense interview and get to know you first as a person, you know, for their puppies to go to new homes. They will want to keep in contact with you and check up on how the puppy's doing, of course. And then you want to see if the parents are there. If they're actual breeders, they'll either have one of them or both of them there. When you come and you go see a puppy and the parents are not around, like, if they try to make an excuse like, oh yeah, their mom's tired at the back, the puppy should always be with their mom till a certain point, till at least 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Yeah, they have to be. So there's no reason for them not to have their mom or their parent around.
Absolutely.
That's one of the signs that you should watch for.
Getting a dog is a big commitment. We talked about that. Getting a purebred dog involves a lot more risk, because there are people who are going to take advantage of people's desire for that specific breed and capitalize on the financial aspect of that particular designer dog or whatever it may be. So be, I think, extra cautious with purebred dogs. Be responsible. Yeah. I think your point about talking to people who have dealt with a specific breeder is great, because then they can tell you over time, hey, my dog is 5, and here are the health issues that I had, or so on and so forth, and they can give you lots of insights into that specific breeder. So any breeder who is worth their salt will give you references of people who they've adopted their dogs out to, and then you can go ahead and speak to those people to get first-hand knowledge.
Yeah, because, like, of course, like, even though they're the same breed, they don't all look alike, so you can see how your dog is going to look like if you meet with someone that went to the same breeder, and then they can say who to watch out for, what to watch out for if like they come home and their puppy gets sick. That's another big issue too. Like, oh yeah, I got my puppy from so and so, and they got like sick, like, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's good advice. And again, if you have any more tips of your own that we missed, because obviously we're just touching on the subject. Put them in the comment section below. All right, we talked about a lot of different stuff. What about activity level and diet?
Well, as you can see, they're pretty, like, very active. They're very active. Just like huskies, I guess. It's not like a dog where you can just have it in an apartment and just chill. You definitely need to take them out for walks, lots of exercise. They do have their zoomies where they just go crazy, and it could be at any given time. Ellie is more high energy than Milo. Milo sometimes just wants to take a nap, and she still wants to keep on playing.
Okay.
Like 1 a.m. That's why I have to separate them at night, so that she doesn't bother him. Since they are hunting dogs too, they do need that, and the high drive, they do need that exercise, because when they were hunting dogs, I'm pretty sure they had the whole forest to explore and to go around and to run around. Yeah. So...
because that was part of their ability to flush game and to hunt.
They're quite fast.
Is to be speedy and to have a lot of endurance, which then, as a pet, causes problems if you don't exercise them properly and give them mental stimulation.
Yeah, all dogs you should exercise,
Absolutely.
To be honest, yeah.
So in terms of activity level, I think it would be better to tell people it's more influenced by age. Than of breed. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, there's going to be individual dogs out there that are going to be super chill. But I would say most dogs are, when they're young, have an almost unlimited amount of energy. Okay, so another question that we got is about diet. Do they have any specific dietary requirements?
Well, they're also really prone to allergies, but it's mostly seasonal external allergies, like to ragweed. It affected a lot of Shibas this year. Like, it was pretty bad. And they get it on their paws, their eyes, fur in general. It's just like a yeast.
Okay,
yeast
but
smell.
that's not like a diet thing, right?
But like, there's some Shibas that are allergic to chicken, turkey, like, you know, basic.
That's like any dog.
Yeah.
So basically, they don't have any specific dietary requirements. Although, if your individual dog has any type of health issues, that's when dietary requirements might change. Right? Yeah.
And since they are hunting animals, I guess raw is like what they would eat, right? And like wolves too, right?
Yeah. Any dog. Yeah. Watch the Dog Nutrition podcast if you want a lot more information on dog nutrition specifically. It's 2 hours. Nobody will watch the whole thing.
Just have it play in the background.
Yeah, just kind of like...
have your dog watch it while you're at work.
Well, you know what's interesting is I put timestamps in the description.
Oh, okay.
So if you go into the description, you can actually click on the timestamp and it'll take you right to the section.
That's smart.
That you want to watch.
That's smart.
Yeah. Okay. So last but not least, let's talk about if you do get a Shiba puppy. What can you expect? And I think... after we talk about what can you expect, let's talk about what do you need.
Yes.
Things to help you if you do get one of these beautiful dogs.
Dingo babies.
Dingo ate my baby.
Dingo baby. Well, as I tell everyone that are expecting Shibas too, what to expect. Like I said, their water abbreviation. You want to get them used to, like, you know, bath times and stuff like that. And also nail trimmings is always a big challenge for dogs in general, but Shibas even more so. Right? So touch their paws daily, desensitize. That's what I really help with Milo. Like, I'll have the clippers and grinder near him. I won't actually trim anything or have the grinder on. Give them a lot of positive reinforcement, like this is okay and stuff like that. Touch and play with their paws daily. Pretend to cut their nails or do one a day so they get used to it. You don't want to just wait till they're too long and then you do it and they get, you know, upset with you, like, why are you doing this? So it's just like a practice, repetitive thing.
Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so what kind of things should you expect, you know, in terms of getting a puppy? And then the second part was, what kind of things do you need to get, you know, to help you in your Shiba experience?
I mean, they're still dogs. Like, get the requirements, like leash, collar, or harness. Crate training, I fully support crate training, because even they can tend to be destructive if they're bored, you know, as all puppies are. So you want them to be comfortable in, like, crate training containment.
Yeah, so plenty of exercise for any young dog is super important. Plenty of socialization with other dogs.
Yes, for sure.
And other people.
Yeah,
different types of people.
Like group classes, because especially with training with distractions and other dogs around is super important. But people say how, like, Shibas are really challenging breed. I think if you're getting a puppy in general, it's challenging. Doesn't matter what breed it is. Like, even if you had that breed before, it'll always be challenging to have a puppy. Like, you get over their cute faces and stuff like that.
Yeah, one of the interesting facts that I found when I was doing my research is that the average life expectancy for Shiba is anywhere between 12 and 15 years, which is very good. That's very good, especially in this day and age. And that they're relatively healthy, meaning that a lot of purebred dogs have a lot of genetic predispositions to a lot of significant health problems.
Like how they were bred and how they evolved.
But Shibas tend to be a lot more healthier on the purebred side, which I found really, really interesting, because almost every purebred dog has got major health issues. But one of the things they said is these guys are pretty good. They're pretty healthy.
Yeah, like I said, they're really prone to allergies. Like, it's a really common thing for them to have, like, their seasonal allergies, exterior-wise and not dietary. What's also you need to look out for is also their eyes. There's lots of dogs, Shibas in general, that have glaucoma and cataracts. Like, I've known a few Shibas that have
like at a young
one
age?
eye. No, like older, of course.
Oh, that's
That's with all dogs, you know, mixed or purebred too. So you just need to watch out for that. Other than that, you know, I'm a first-time dog owner, and yeah, they were challenging, but if you get your research right, you do the training, it'll work out.
For sure, and just have a lot of time, a lot of patience for any young dog.
Yes, for sure.
Any adolescent dog is like going through. I mean, look, if you want an analogy, think about how you were when you were a teenager. Yeah. I know I was like a terror, and you're rebelling, and you got boundless energy. And like dogs, when they're going through adolescence, have all this energy. They are testing themselves. They're coming into their own. So they're going to be super challenging at that age. So if you're going to get a puppy, the cuteness fades very quickly because they get big.
They grow so fast.
Fast. And these are relatively, you know, I'd say medium-sized dogs. One of the great ways of accessorizing your dogs is with like
simple bandanas,
bandanas or something just simple that's kind of one size fits all or much easier to size. My personal opinion is that these guys are so beautiful. I wouldn't want to hide their natural beauty with clothes. Not that I have anything against clothes. I put Kenzie in a t-shirt when Jem was over. And, you know, she got out of it pretty quick, which was interesting. But, I mean, these guys are so gorgeous in their natural state that that's the way I would have them. But, yeah, I mean, that can be a challenge. But, I mean, these guys, I think, fall into a similar category as, like, Boston Terriers or other smaller dogs they're not tiny. Like, these are athletic, dogs that can really motor and are seriously athletic. Like they have a lot of capability in terms of what you can do with them and that kind of thing.
They love running. They love running around. They love running off all the time. Yeah, like recall training is also like a must. Like even though you trust your dog and he's really good at recall, you just don't know when they'll just take off, or you can't. Like there is a trust there, but like if they see something like a squirrel across the street, they will go and get it. You know, or see another dog or get distracted. Recall is always going to be a challenging Shiba.
It's challenging for everybody. Well, here's the thing with any smart dog, and let me preface it with most dogs are very intelligent. It's not like there are some dogs that are super smart and then the rest of them are not that smart. Most dogs are very intelligent. I mean, I think it's more the exception to have a dog that isn't smart. So one of the things that is important for any dog is to stimulate them mentally as well as physically with different games, different tasks, different training. They really enjoy having a mental challenge as well as the physical challenge. So if you're interested in Shiba specifically, what I would recommend is joining social media groups. So you have... You're a member of a Shiba Toronto. Yeah,
we have like a community, like we call it, and like it's basically a small family as well. It's the Toronto Meetup Shiba group on Facebook.
So anybody interested in your group, I'll put the link right here.
Yeah, we're a community since popularity has been showing around. I've been seeing more in Toronto every day. There's about like 400 of us, so where there is Shiba owners, people that used to have Shibas, and then people are just generally interested in getting one or interested in the breed in general. Welcome. You can ask questions there. We also do meetups every now and then. We try to meet up maybe once a month. So if you want to come and see like maybe 20, 25 Shibas all at once at like dog parks, we meet up quite often.
And if you have questions or are looking for a reputable breeder, or you get a Shiba and you are experiencing a challenge or an issue, these types of social media groups are fantastic for providing support.
Yes, support is like sometimes if you have like a problem, or if your dog is just like, oh hey, has anyone also encountered this or experienced this, then we'll be like, yeah, it's fairly common, don't worry about it, like stuff like that. Also recommendations on, behavior or training, or just meeting other Shibas too. Just meeting other Shibas as well, because like I said, a few of us come out like maybe 20, 25 at a time, and we have like our events like for Halloween and Christmas too. Like today we have a Christmas meet and like 50 Shibas are coming.
Wow, that's awesome. So these social media groups are really positive. Because if you're, it doesn't matter whether you're a new dog owner and you've never had a dog before, or you've had dogs your whole life, these types of social media groups are fantastic for providing support, and it gives you that sense of comfort that if you do come across something that you're having difficulty with, there's going to be other people who have probably experienced something similar and can help you out.
Like, I didn't know having a dog would also expand my social life. Like everything I do revolves around like dog meets or like, my dog friends. Like they are like really good friends, and it's such a like a community. I've never known I would meet such great people, and like before everything I was just like interested in the dog more than the person that owns the dog or their parents. I'll be like, oh, who's this? And I never really interacted with parents until I had a dog myself, and I wanted to have that relationship, especially if my dog plays with your dog really well and they're friends. We might as well be friends too, right?
Absolutely. For sure. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time. Bring your really cute, adorable dogs. If you have any suggestions or any questions about Shibas, put it in the comments below. We'll do our very best to answer them. If you're interested in being on the podcast yourself as a guest, just give me a shout out or whatever, either on Instagram. Do you want to plug your Instagram account?
Yeah, sure. This is my Hello Milo the Shiba. Hello Milo was already taken, so.
Hello Milo the Shiba. I'll put that there and I'll put it in the description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram to keep up to date with any podcasts that are coming up, it's the Toronto Dog Whisperer. It's pretty easy. And
isn't there underscores?
there is underscores, but if you search it, it's pretty much the first one that's going to come up. But I'll put it there as well. Okay? So thanks so much for coming. Did you have fun?
Me. Yes, of
Was it a good time? The dogs.
Anytime you get to see dogs is a fun time, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
just pop by.
The dogs are just, they make podcasting a little bit more challenging, but it's totally worth it because they make a lot more fun.
I mean, they make your life more interesting.
Oh,
too.
totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so till next time, take care, and if you love your dog, take them for a walk. Bye-bye. Bye.